Hello, I'm Umesh Vallipuram. I'm a CA, CPA by profession. Came to Canada in 1986 at the age of 15. Lived in Ottawa through high school and then went to University of Waterloo and later on worked for a US private equity firm. And I'm currently with a venture capital firm as well as on the board of Foyce & Gordon and Payne. My journey to Canada started because of BlackJuly. I was 12 years old, and to this day, I very much remember everything that happened that really changed the course of my life as a child, growing up in Sri Lanka and then having to move to Canada to better our lives. It was Monday, July 24th, and early morning, we were supposed to get ready and go to school. But my parents decided to have us stay home for that day because they heard there were some rioting happening in Colombo and they thought it would be safer for us to stay home. So as a child who's never seen violence before, we were overjoyed because we got to have a day off. But things really changed for the bad the afternoon of Monday, July 24th. The first thing we knew was a big bang on our door and then windows crackling. We had a mob that just ran towards our house and they started to break our window, the house window, and started to set fire to our house. And as a child, I was so traumatized, but that particular experience still lingers to me in that day, that the noise of the glasses breaking and the house being set fire. But we were fortunate that our neighbors were willing to take us. They were Muslim. They were willing to take us in, and we ran through the back fence. This is my family, my grandparents, and the extended family, uncles and aunts. We all lived in this larger house. We were fortunate that the neighbors were willing to take us in, and we ran through the backyard to the neighbor's house, and I was peeking through the window and I saw our house starting to burn right in front of our eyes. Tears would just shed to see the house just in flames. And I remember for about 2-3 hours, kerosene smell, house, mirror glasses cracking. As soon as when the mob left, the first thing we knew to do was to run towards our house and started pouring water, hoping to minimize the damage of what happened to our house. But to my dismay, my sheer sorrow, pretty much the most part of our house was quite burnt out, and there was really nothing really to be recovered from it. So all my childhood memories, all albums, all items that I treasured so much were just burned in flames. We didn't know what to do. I mean, we went back to the neighbor's house, and we heard that the mob was looking for us. They were looking for Tamil families to take their lives away. So we were basically in hiding for 2 nights. We could hear the neighbors getting overly concerned. Our neighbors were getting concerned that their lives were going to be at jeopardy, and they were telling us, maybe it's better for us to find a safer place for us to leave, so their lives are not at jeopardy. Fortunately, one of my uncles who was in Canada, who was actually a superintendent of police back in Sri Lanka, but was on a scholarship in Ottawa, he actually phoned up the police department and asked to come looking for us. And that's where we were fortunate enough that a police van was there to take all 24 of us to a refugee camp at Thurston College. While we were driving, all 24 of us were piled up in a van, and while we were driving, we could see all the damage, all the houses burning, shops burnt, and even heard stories. One of my own uncles was a very successful businessman. We found out as we were driving, as one of the policemen told us, he was thrown into a pile of tires and was burnt alive. And those were some of the tragic stories of what we heard of, so many lives lost. We were one of the good fortunate individuals who were able to have refuge at Thurston College for 1 week. We all slept on the floor, and the facilities were bare minimal, and food was pretty rationed. But at the end of the day, we were very happy that we as a family were together in a bit of a safer place. And eventually we were shipped off in a boat where I think over 1,000 people were packed into a cargo ship, and were off to Jaffna on a 3-day journey. That experience as well was quite traumatizing because there were no toilet facilities. Food wasn't barely any food to be shared amongst all those refugees, but at least we had our life together. We found it a bit safer. So, and the welcome we received when we arrived at the KK's airport was, still till this day, it's so memorable, so welcoming of individuals giving us clothes, because we didn't really have any clothes on us, food, drink, and welcoming us as if it's welcoming us to Jaffna, and that eventually being where we settled until I left to Canada in 1986. And that's my journey, and the Black July impact, what he had as a child, and how it changed my perspective of life, and it really was a growing up experience and an awakening experience of what ethnic violence can bring, and the injustices that happen to so many of the people that I know, and then so many people who've been affected.